Good day mga kasold math like a boss. Welcome to my channel. So if you're new to my channel, so I hope na makatulong tong ituturo ko sa inyo. Okay? And please consider subscribing if you are new here. Yan, it would mean a lot to me. Now for this video, for this topic, ang pag-usapan natin is finding the discriminant of quadratic equation and the relation of roots to coefficients. So let's start with the first one. So the discriminant of quadratic equation. So discriminant of quadratic equation determines the nature of the roots of quadratic equation. So yung nature of roots, yun po yung description. So dinidescribe nito kung ano yung roots ng equation. Now, the nature of the roots tells whether the roots are real or imaginary. So malawak po yung real number. So mga fractions, whole numbers, square root, and everything. Now, imaginary, yun po yung mga numbers na they're just there for computation, but in actual or in reality, it doesn't exist. Okay? So, equal or unequal yung roots, ba? And if the roots may have two real solutions, so kapag not equal yung roots natin, syempre two solutions yon. One real solution kapag yung roots natin ay equal, kasi count as one. And no real solution if it's imaginary. Now, the discriminant of quadratic equation was taken from the quadratic formula. Now, as you can see, this quadratic formula is the fourth method of finding the roots of quadratic equation. And the formula for discriminant was taken from that, and that is b squared minus 4ac. So, kahit b squared minus 4ac lang yung gamitin natin, madidetermine na natin yung nature of roots. Ma-identify na natin na without knowing the roots of quadratic equation, we can easily determine na if they are real, if they are imaginary, if the roots are equal, or something like that. Okay, so let's start. Now, if b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, we can say that the roots are real and equal, and it has one real solution. So let's have an example. The given here is x squared plus 4x plus 4. Now, to solve for the discriminant, syempre, first, we need to get the values of a, b, and c. So, a, b, c muna. Yung a po, yun yung katabi ng x squared. So, that's 1. Automatic yon. B is equal to 4. Ito po yun, katabi ng linear term. And yung c natin, yung constant, yung walang katabi. Okay? So, to solve for the discriminant, syempre, substitute lang natin doon sa formula. So, magiging 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4. So, that's 16 minus 16, and it's 0. So, in this equation, the discriminant value is equal to 0. So, we can say that the roots are real, equal, and it has one solution. So, para malaman natin or to prove if that's correct, kunin natin yung roots ng equation. Now, to get the roots, syempre, we need to get the quadratic formula. We need to use the quadratic formula. So, magiging x is equal to negative of b daw, so negative 4, plus or minus square root of 0, kasi yung b squared minus 4ac, ito na yon, all over 2 times 1, kasi yung value ng a ay 1. It will become x is negative 4 plus or minus 0 over 2. So, pag paghiwalayin natin, x sub 1 is negative 4 over, plus 0 over 2, or negative 2, and x sub 2 is negative 4 minus 0 over 2, so that's also negative 2. So as you can see, the roots here are equal. The roots are the same, the roots are real, and it has one solution kasi count as 1. So ibig sabihin, tama, that if the discriminant is 0, alam mo that the roots are real, equal, and one solution. So this is just to prove. Pwede namang hindi gawin. Okay? Next. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, then the roots are real, unequal, and it has two solutions. So let's try. The equation here is x squared minus x minus 12. So a is 1, b is negative 1 kasi minus to, and c is negative 12 kasi negative minus. By substituting the values to the formula, it will become 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 12. So magiging 1 plus, because this minus or this negative sign multiplied by negative, it will become positive. So product lang ng tatlo, that's 48, and the answer is 49. So the discriminant value is 49. Now, what is now the nature? Real, unequal, and it has two solutions. To prove if it's correct, we solve the roots. So this will become x is negative, negative of negative 1. So, ayan, balikan natin. This is negative 1. So, medyo namali ng sulat. This is negative 1. By the way, negative 1 squared is 1 din naman. So, pagdating dito, so magiging positive 1 na siya. Plus or minus square root of 49 all over 2 times 1. So, this will become x is equal to 1 plus or minus 7 because square root of 49 is 7 all over 2. So, kung kukunin natin ang x sub 1, so x sub 1 is 1 plus 7 over 2, so that's going to be 4. And x sub 2 is 1 minus 7 over 2, so that's going to be negative 3. So, as you can see, 4 and negative 3 are two different numbers or two different integers, so they are real. They are not equal or unequal, and meaning it has two real solutions. Ganun lang. Next. So, if the discriminant is less than 0 or yung mga negative na result, we can say that the roots are imaginary and no real solution. So, let's have an example. The given is 5x squared minus 4x plus 2. So, values of A, B, and C, we have A is 5 over 2, B is negative 4, and C is positive 2. To solve for the discriminant, syempre we substitute. Magiging negative 4 squared minus 4 times 5 over 2 times positive 2. Okay? Then, negative 4 squared is 16 minus, dito, pwede natin i-cancel yung 2. Kasi multiplication naman yan, pwede natin i-apply ang cancellation method. So, magiging 20 na siya, 4 times 5. Subtract, negative 4. So, this is the discriminant value. Now, the nature of the roots are imaginary and no real solution. Now, to prove, we solve the roots. So, x is equal to negative of b, so that's 4, plus or minus square root of negative 4 all over 2 times 5 over 2. Kasi nga, yung a natin, 5 over 2. So, this will become x is equal to 4 plus or minus. Now, walang square root po ang negative number. So, i-apply natin yung imaginary. So, yung imaginary or yung I is equivalent po to square root of negative 1. Now, ibig sabihin, pwede nating i-factor yung square root of negative 4 as the product of square root of negative 1 and square root of 4 para makuha natin yung square root ng 4. Okay? So, yung square root of negative 1, since I po yun, lalagyan na natin yung I. And then we get the square root of 4, so that's 2. Over, dito, cancel na agad yung 2. So, over 5. Now, we cannot simplify 4 and 2 by 5. So, ibig sabihin, yung roots na ay ito. 4 plus or minus 2i all over 5. So, as you can see, masasabi natin that it is an imaginary solution because of the existence of I. Okay? So, tandaan na kapag ang square root, pag may negative number na sa square root, sa loob, may radicand na negative, then we can just say na the roots are imaginary. Okay? Yeah. So, that's how you get the discriminant of the roots. Discriminant of the quadratic equation or the nature. Okay? So, let's now proceed to the relation of roots to its coefficients. I want you to observe this. So, I have here a quadratic equation, x squared minus 9x plus 20. And then, I'm going to give you the roots. And they are 5 and 4. Kung isosolve mo, yan yung magiging roots niyan. Now, solve natin using, i-identify natin yung relation ng sum and product doon sa coefficients natin na 1, negative 9, and 20 as the values or the coefficients or yung values ng A, B, and C. Now, kung kukunin natin yung sum ng 5 and 4, the result is 9. 5 plus 4, 9. If we get the product of 5 and 4, the result is 20. Now, kung i-observe natin yung sum and product doon sa numerical coefficients, ito yung sa values ng ABC, we can just say that C is equal to the product and sum is equal to the opposite sign of B. That's just the first conclusion. Now, that conclusion may somehow be correct or incorrect because we're not yet proven the formula. Kumbaga, hindi pa tayo sure. So, we are going to give another example. Kasi tatanungin natin, anong purpose ng A? Okay, let's have another example. The equation here is 2x squared plus x equals 15. So the roots here are 5 over 2 and negative 3. Yan yung roots nila. Now, this is number 2. Now, look at the equation. This is not written in general form. Dapat kasi written in general form. So, gagawin lang natin, i-transpose natin si 15. So, this will become 2x squared plus x minus 15 is equal to 0. So, ibig sabihin, ang numerical or ang values ng A, B, and C ay 2, 1, and negative 15. Now, yung unang conclusion natin or conjecture natin kanina, the product is equal to C. So, pwede natin negative 15. So, hindi pa tayo sure. Yung sum natin equal to the opposite sign of B. So, that's negative 1. I-prove natin gamit to. Kunin natin yung sum nila at kunin din natin yung product. So, negative 3 plus 5 over 2. So, dito, pag mag-solve tayo, di ba, over 1. So, ganito lang, butterfly, negative 6 plus 5 all over the product of denominators 2. So, that's negative 1 half. And the product, negative 3 over 1 times 5 over 2, tapat-tapat lang to. So, magiging negative 15 over 2. As you can see, yung negative 15 over 2 at yung negative 1 half, fraction. Iba siya doon sa first conjecture natin or yung first conclusion. Pero kung papansinin nyo, the numerator, yun po, same, parehas yung negative 15 dito, tapos yung negative 1 sa numerator. Now, nagkaroon tayo ng denominator na 2. Saan ngayon siya galing? Ayun po, dito siya galing sa A. Ibig sabihin, yun yung purpose ng A. Aside from, kopyahin natin yung dito, i-over pa natin siya sa A. So, from this example, we can therefore conclude that the formula for finding the product is C over A. So, just the value of C divided by the value of A. And sum is, since opposite sign ng B, so magiging negative B over A. Yun yung relation ng sum and product to the coefficients. Okay, let's try. The given here is x squared minus 7x plus 12. Now, syempre, kunin natin yung A, B, and C. A is 1, B is negative 7, and C is positive 12. If we get the sum, syempre, using the formula, negative of negative 7 over 1, so that's going to be 7. And yung product natin is 12 over 1, that's going to be 12. Now, let's see if the sum is 7 and the product is 12 by getting the roots of this equation. So, this is factorable. So, x minus 4 and x minus 3. Diba? Two numbers, when added, the result is the middle term, and when multiplied, the result is the last term. So, change the sign. X sub 1 is 4 and x sub 2 is positive 3. To get the sum, the result is 7. To get the product, the result is 12. So, check po. Let's have another equation. So, this equation is not written in standard form, in general form. So, hindi lang siya naka-arrange ng maayos. So, pwede nating i-arrange ng maayos or pwede naman tayong dumiretso kumuha ng A, B, and C kung hindi kayo malilito. Kasi yung ibang bata, kung ano yung nakita nilang unang number, yun na yung A. Hindi. Si A po, yun yung katabi ng x squared. So, pwede nating rearrange. So, magiging x squared minus 10x plus 18 is equal to 0. Ni-rearrange ko lang. Okay? Hindi ko binagong sign kasi hindi naman sila tumawid ng equal sign. Nag-jumbo lang sila doon sa left side. So, from this, we can say that A is 1, B is negative 10, and C is 18. Now, to get the sum of the roots, we have negative of negative 10 over 1, so that's 10, and the product is 18 over 1, so that's going to be 18. So, that's how you get the sum and product of the roots. What if vice versa? Binigay yung sum and product, tapos kukunin natin yung equation, i-derive. Paano? Di ba yung sum natin ay opposite noong sign ng B? Yung product natin nung C naman. So, ibig sabihin, pwede natin gawing formula ay x squared minus sum, kasi opposite sign, di ba? Tapos yung x plus the product equals 0. So, from this given, sum is 3, makakakuha natin yung equation as x squared minus 3x minus 5 is equal to 0. So, this is the general form of this equation. So, ganun lang siya ka-simple. Another example. Sum is 1 half and product of the roots is 7. So, kung gagamitin natin itong formula, so magiging x squared minus 1 half x plus 7 is equal to 0. Now, this is not yet the general form. Why? Because there is a denominator. Now, to get rid of that, hindi natin buburahin. Gagawin natin, i-multiply natin yung lahat ng terms by the denominator 2 para mawala siya. So, magiging 2x squared minus x, kasi cancel na tong 2 sa baba, plus 14 because 2 times 7 is 14 equals 0. So this is now the general form. So that is the relationship of the root or the relation of roots to the coefficient of the quadratic equation. Now, that's all. So thank you for listening. I hope you learned something, and if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing and please hit the like button. Joke lang.